We are going to make a second pitch. We made a pitch in the beginning course for you to do this practice with others. And we're going to come at it again, hopefully in a very inspiring way, because we believe in it so much that you will benefit more from this practice if you work together with other people doing practicing strengths-focused dialogues. Gerald, can you take us through the first bullet point?
Sure, I will. The first bullet, I'll just read it. Have at least one person you can meet with regularly for strength-focused dialogues. And the key idea about that is that you have a choice. If you could do it by yourself and just think about what you're doing, and it's not easier, you don't have to find anybody to do it with and all that. So you might think that would be a good way to go, or easier way, but we think that it's really worth your time if you can find at least one other person and do it with another person. And it's amazing how that changes the clarity and how it works, because you when you just talk to yourself, you oftentimes don't finish the ideas. You have a little bit of an idea and you think you know what it's talking, but you don't really put it into words, so it isn't really clear what your thoughts are, and they just come and go. But when you got one person there, at least one, and if you got more than one, that's maybe better. But if you got one person there, you are thinking about what you're thinking and feeling, and trying, and then putting it into words. And as you do that, when you do that type of preparing it so someone else can understand it, you think much more clearly and deeply about it, and that's pretty darn important. Because so you'll find that if you articulate your strengths with another person, compared with if you're just doing it by yourself, it'll be much better. It'll be clearer, and it'll just be much a better experience for you. So it's really kind of important that you try to find someone that you can just try it out with.
If you have been doing this practice on your own up to this point, you have probably found that relating to yourself in a more positive way has real benefits for how you feel throughout your day. And just imagine what it would be like to take that new sense of yourself and, through the dialogue process, be assured that someone else in the world is holding you the same way, that you are not alone in knowing your best self, but that someone else, at least one other person in the world, knows you that way too. It's a wonderful gift to give yourself. And there are instructions on our website, and I want to take you there and show you just where it is. So we're going to click over to the website here. This is the home page. And so on this drop-down tab, Practice with Others, you can find strengths-focused dialogue instructions. We won't read through them all right now, but it's not terribly complicated, and a partner would not have to be fully engaged in the process to work through these simple instructions with you. We would just ask that whomever you do the practice with be willing to engage in these instructions in a pure way, not to mix it up with other kinds of activities together during the time that you're doing the practice, so you get the experience of sharing positive time with someone. It's a rare, wonderful treat. So let's go back now to our slideshow, and we're going to go on to the next slide. And here we are in create strengths-focused relationships. What we're positing here is that doing strengths-focused dialogues will eventually create strengths-focused relationships. And those are relationships in which you are primarily focused on the other person's strengths, and they are primarily focused on your strengths. And Gerald and I have created a strengths-focused relationship between the two of us, and I value it enormously. I can't tell you how much I value it. Gerald, can you talk about the first bullet point on this?
Well, yeah, just the idea that the more you do it, you start, and it's kind of awkward maybe at the beginning, and it isn't quite so good, but the more you do it, there's some kind of a trust or some connection there makes it much easier. It's probably the most difficult thing is just getting it started, but once you get it started, it just flows naturally, and it's very satisfying to do that, and you won't know until you try it.
That's right. And point number 2, a positive relationship can cause somebody to blossom. A person can go through all of life and not have any positive relationships. This can make it difficult to take the risk. As Gerald was pointing out, the beginning part can be awkward. We all have defenses built up to aid in our survival physically, but also psychologically. We have crafted this idea of ourselves as an island, as a separate life that is dependent on protection. This is not entirely true, and we can benefit immensely from setting aside our concerns and defenses to allow ourselves the opportunity for ourselves and another to see what happens in a positive environment. It's like taking a plant that's been trying to grow in the dark without any nutritious soil and putting it out in the forest where it gets rain and light and love. So it may be quite simple that we simply thrive more in a positive environment, and that we have the power to create a positive environment for ourselves and contribute to the positive environment that others live in. Gerald, do you have other thoughts to get people going?
I do. It's the idea that when you talk to people, when you focus on each other's strengths, it's always positive, and that's a different something. And that's the amazing thing that you start learning about one person's strengths, and then they learn about you, and the whole relationship is just easier and positive, because you're not guarding about, well, what are they going to think that if I say something wrong, or what if they see me if I the wrong way or something like that. You don't think about that because you've already got this positive mood here that we're focusing on strengths here, and that opens people up, and it's really useful, and that's one reason why when you meet a person and having a chat with them, it's oftentimes good to notice something good about them, something about the way they look, or the way they describe what they just talked about. And just noticing something positive and mentioning it will just increase this positivity between the two of them. And the more positivity you have between the two of you, the more comfortable you'll feel, and the more you'll go on and do more of the positivity. So it really grows on you. It's really contagious, you might say.